Oh my gosh, there's been another change to the Corrie schedules. Less than 6 months, is it, after the big change where they were uploaded to ITVX first, and I had a massive rant about that. News has broke today that is going to seriously change the way that Coronation Street fans view their episodes from 2026. So we just thought we had to talk about it. We need to get this out now, don't we? Because it's quite the hot topic at the moment. I'm Michael.
I'm Gemma.
And yeah, we are talking about the fact that from January 2026, Corrie is being slashed, as the news headlines would have you
Slashed
believe.
by a mighty 16 to 17%.
Is that what it is? Is it? Have you done the maths?
Well,
Yeah.
other people have done the maths.
Oh,
and,
good for-
and some
good for
people
them.
come out with 16 and some people come out with 17,
Okay,
which makes me
okay.
think it's somewhere in between.
It's going to be on 5 days a week, half an hour, 8:30, as part of the new soap Power Hour on ITV. So what we're going to see is 8 o'clock, Emmerdale for half an hour, Corrie 8:30 till 9. We don't have a whole lot of information beyond that. This kind of broke quite unexpectedly this morning. I don't think anyone was expecting.
Well, yeah, behind the scenes scrambling, I think, because this was
Well, it
not
sounds
ready
like
to
it a
be
bit.
released. I think that the cast... I've read gossip online that said the cast and crew were only told this morning,
Yes,
which makes me think that somebody leaked this to the papers.
Yeah, the goss says that that cast were called into I guess both Corrie and Emmerdale Studios this morning to be told this. I can't verify that obviously, but it feels like that this is, quite a quick turnaround, I suppose, and yeah, maybe trying to plug some leaks from the tabloids who may have got hold of it. But yeah,
they're still going to upload the episodes at 7 o'clock on ITVX every morning.
That's the plan. Apparently, who knows? I mean, that may well change. We're very early days with this news, aren't we? Do they stick with that? Do they go to the Monday morning box sets? Who knows? All we know from the moment is, no more Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It is all week, Monday to Friday, daily. This seems pretty huge. We know that this is official, because we got quite a lengthy quote from the director of television at ITV, Kevin Lygo. So I suppose, should we just go through this first and read this out, unpick bits? So Kevin Lygo has said, the new commissioning pattern is viewer-led. We already give more choice than ever to viewers on how they watch us through ITVX, and we want to present their favourite soap to them in the most digestible way. In a world where there is so much competition for viewers' time and attention, and viewing habits continue to change, we believe that this is the right amount of episodes that fans can fit into their viewing schedule to keep up to date with the shows. Research insights also show us that soap viewers are increasingly looking to the soaps for their pacey storytelling. Streaming-friendly 30-minute episodes better provide the opportunity to meet viewer expectations for storyline pace, payoff and resolution.
That's interesting. I didn't really pick up on that the first time we read this, but
no,
this does sound a bit like people... It feels like they're dumbing it down. I don't think that's what he means.
They're spinning it as a positive, There's widely varying reactions online to this. Some people are saying that this is good for the soap. Some people say, this is the beginning of the end.
Well, I haven't seen anyone say... Well, I've seen a couple of people say, I'd rather it stay as it is. The people who are saying, oh, it's the end of the soaps, or they say that about everything. But on the whole, most of the reactions I've seen have been very positive.
I've honestly barely had time to read anything. This news broke this morning. I've literally just got home from work and we're sitting down to record this. So I've been kind of mulling it over in my head all day. But I've got literally no idea what people are saying. Because he's kind of saying it's research led. Now I wonder, you've had this big thing about the YouGov poll, haven't you, that was commissioned last year, and I wonder whether that's anything to do with it.
I don't remember what specifically the questions were to do with. I know that they asked about characters, and I know that they asked about storylines, but I don't remember if they asked about viewing habits.
I don't know. I don't think they did. I mean, there may well have been others, and they'll do market research all the time. But it is interesting that he's saying that it's streaming-friendly 30-minute episodes. Is 30 minutes more streaming-friendly than an hour? I'm not really sure.
Just as an aside, did you hear the news that a Netflix executive has been telling writers that characters in the shows that they commission now have to narrate what they're doing, so people don't have to look up from their phones.
Oh my gosh,
because they're
that's
like,
terrible.
people are going to be looking on their phones, so can you please make sure that people don't have to actually watch it to get what's happening?
That's dreadful. I hope Corrie doesn't go down that route.
But this is going to be something that all of these, directors, executives, people to do with commissioning, they're all going to be thinking about the streaming generation, which is what I'm going to call people who are younger than millennials.
Grown up with this kind of way that TV is presented to us.
It's not just streaming, it's YouTube as well. It's bite sized, it's TikTok, it's mini little snippets of stuff that's easily digestible. And from your own experience, and I've seen on people discussing online, children's attention spans seem to be
100%, 100%. An hour. You're not going to get a child to sit down and watch something for an hour. 30 minutes is seriously pushing it. 30 seconds perhaps. But you're right that maybe this does go more towards, like he said, pacey. Will this have an effect on storyline pace? I don't know. I guess these are all things that we need to kind of unpick.
I would really hate for that to be, I've always said soap's strength lie in the format, which is a long running show that follows people's lives. You see, we've seen now children born grow up on the show. Yeah. So to sort of ditch that to make something that feels perhaps geared towards just a throwaway stuff.
I don't think it's going to be that. I mean, I'm sure we could all name stories that we thought that we felt have been dragged out. So maybe we'll see a little bit less of that. But I don't think this is going to be to the detriment of those long-running, A stories that will last a year and a half. We'll still absolutely see that. Corrie is not going to be dropping that anytime soon.
What else does Kev say?
Kevin Ligo continues.
Yeah.
Whilst viewing is growing on ITVX, we know a significant proportion of our soap's audience still watch us via the schedule. This new pattern is in the DNA of the soap genre. Nobody else does 30-minute drama this successfully. It creates a soap power hour that's consistent and easy to find in the linear schedule for the UK's biggest soaps.
That's a shot across the bows there to EastEnders that seems to start randomly at any point.
I don't know when EastEnders is on.
Don't BBC shows just start whenever? Because they don't have adverts 10
No,
past 6
I think that they're generally going on the half an hour. I don't know how this actually competes with EastEnders. Is EastEnders on before this? Or maybe I should find this out. But it's going to be literally this block every day. And I guess that does offer some form of consistency. It's not going to be a case of, is there a soap on tonight? The answer is yes, there is 100% going to be a soap on tonight. And if you like Corrie, 8:30 is the time to...
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea that, there's always going to be some Corrie to watch as a reward for a hard day's work, I suppose. But go on, what are you going to say?
I'm just going to say that this could be the brainchild of Ian McLeod in his position as executive producer. I'm just talking out my bum here. Yeah. But let's not forget that I do it all the time, you guys know. But let's not forget that he was, promoted to this position that didn't exist. They got rid of that role when I think he took on the job of producer. Was it Kate Oates? I can't remember. But there always was an executive producer. And now Ian McLeod has taken that role. There's a few years that nobody was doing it at all. And he's across Emmerdale and Coronation Street.
That role didn't exist before, did it? Corrie had Kieran Roberts as the exec producer, but he was Corrie and Corrie only. So it feels like this could well be, a brainchild of him in response to the widely spread rumours that ITV has got a big cash problem. And that's the elephant in the room here, isn't it? This is not just for, streaming friendly, appealing to the evolving viewing habits. This is clearly a response to there ain't enough money left to keep on going the way they're going now. Well,
I think branding it as a soap power hour is a really powerful thing to do. I think that it makes sense to what's the word, amalgamise your soaps, because at the moment I'm not really Emmerdale's on every day, or is it not on Friday?
I can't remember. I know that it has been on every day. I don't know whether it's got
a different schedule to Coronation Street, which I think it makes sense to put them both together in an hour. I've just checked on online, and EastEnders is on at 7. So
Okay.
really, they've actually been quite clever here, because if you're a soap fan, you can now watch. I think EastEnders is on every day, isn't it?
I don't think. No,
3.
it's. I think there are 4 EastEnders a week.
We don't know
Who
anything
knows?
about the
Who
other soaps,
knows?
but now you can sit down and from half 7 to 9 o'clock, you've got soaps.
Yeah, and if you're a big soap fan, then that probably sounds like heaven.
And I think the thing about soaps now is that they need to band together and stop trying to compete with one another.
You're not wrong.
I think they need to consolidate themselves and create an opportunity to have a sort of seamless view through, even if you're going across a channel. I don't think that they would put this very highly on their list of reasons why we're doing it, but it certainly makes sense to, instead of trying to alienate, because there's a certain sort of person that wants to watch a soap, and some people will never watch a soap. If there's somebody who's trying to decide, do I watch EastEnders or Corrie, why make them have that choice if you could get them to watch both?
Yeah, I think this is sensible timing going on here for sure.
And it's prime time tally, it's 7 to 8, 8 to 9.
Yeah, it does put it kind of right back in the heart of the schedule again every single day. So that's their scheduling sorted, I suppose. Let me just finish off the rest of this Kevin Ligo quote. So he says, "This new commissioning pattern will mean 5 hours of soaps a week rather than the current 6. We're conscious this will have an impact for the people who work on the soaps team. We will support our colleagues in ITV studios as they work through these changes, and will do what we can to mitigate the impact on our people. These changes are motivated by doing what we believe is best for the continuing success of these important programmes in the long term. They also create headroom in the overall programme budget for investment in programming that can help ITV grow reach in a very, very competitive market." So that's the downside of it, isn't it? Clearly there will be an impact on people working on the soaps. There's the rumours say that there's going to be 75 roles lost between Coronation Street and Emmerdale out of apparently 600 who currently work there. Now that doesn't mean crew, cast, writers, it kind of means a mixture of them all, although according to one article I wrote, more likely to be jobs in the production. So if anyone was
thinking... An article you read, not wrote.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I read it. Sorry. It's if anyone's there thinking, are they going to be cutting more cast members? And we do know that there are some actors that are leaving Coronation Street this year. I don't know about Emmerdale, but I assume so. It doesn't mean that they're going to be, those more exits to fit into this new pattern.
One of the things that I read ITV, a spokesperson saying in, I think, the Mirror, was that redundancies also come along with hiring freezes. So are we going to see fewer new characters on the screen?
Maybe.
I don't know. Are we going to see any more people leaving? Maybe a couple. I think a couple more cast might go by the end of the year, but that's a normal amount.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just happened to have an awful lot all in one go in the last month. I don't think it's particularly out of the ordinary. Maybe a bit on the high side, but it's not anything that's particularly concerning to me. I'm not seeing this sinking ship analogy, really. That's kind of... That's hyperbole, isn't it, really, I think. So
what you said before about the elephant in the room is definitely something we need to talk about. The budget, ITV, cash crisis. Again, Coronation Street and Emmerdale are the jewel in the crown, really. They're consistently high viewerships.
Compared to the other shows, it's not as much as it was. But...
The reason why there's always stories about when Corrie drops is because it's a remarkable thing. It's worthy of remark because it's such a high viewership. They wouldn't be scrambling. There wouldn't be all this all this talk about stuff if it wasn't an important show to ITV. It's one of the most important shows to ITV. And ITV, I think it's fair to say Coronation Street and Emmerdale are bringing in more than they are spending. But I think that if they cut an episode, they might get more viewers, which I don't think is wrong. I think they're targeting a younger demographic of people who don't mind watching stuff every day, or also don't mind saving it up for a binge watch at the weekend. I think that it's a gamble that's going to pay off. They're also going to get less money now. From their adverts, they're going to get 16 to 17% less, unless they come up with some very innovative ways of recouping that revenue like they have done with their sponsorships and, you know, integrating brands into the show.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a cut, and the redundancy is not just because you're going to have a 6 less stuff to do. It's because they're going to cut the budget accordingly to how much the revenue goes down.
Yeah.
But are they going to cut it by 16%?
That's the question that I've got. You know, will they take the current budget they've got for 6 episodes and literally slice off a sixth of that? I don't know. I would hope not, because lots of people have been saying that, you know, some of the soaps aren't, you know, as good as they once were, that you can see where, you know, there aren't as many extras, the budget cuts, you know, they're not obvious.
The Christmas parties.
The Christmas maybe this will allow the Corrie cast to have a Christmas party 2026. Who knows?
Fire half of them, and then you only have to pay.
But anyway,
half the fee.
It's been not unobvious that there's been budget cuts here and there in the way that the show has been presented on screen, and I wonder whether if a bit less than a sixth of the budget is cut overall, that'll mean that for each episode, each half an hour, there's going to be a bit more budget, which means, will we get more extras in this in the scenes? Will we get more location shoots? Will we get those little bits that people have been saying that Coronation Street has been missing at the moment? I don't know, because I can't see that would be ideal, because I mean, you know, I'm definitely in mixed minds about whether I personally think this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I'd take it if it meant that there was this, you know, improvement to the show. And personally, I've been pretty darn happy with Coronation Street in the last couple of months since Kate Brooks has taken over. I've been a lot more entertained than I had been in the past year. Not that I'm saying that there was a huge amount wrong in 2024. I've found the last couple of months especially gripping for me. But I'd still like there to be more changes and improvements. I'd like to have especially some of the big name cast, because you're thinking, you know, is some of the reason why we haven't seen as much as Jenny and Sally and some of the others, is that because of the budgeting? I don't know. Maybe not. Will we get more of those? Hopefully, but we can't say for sure.
There's also a lot of stuff to talk about with the workload, and I know lots of people don't like to hear about how hard it is to be a member of the cast or crew. I don't think the crew talk about it as much as maybe the cast do, but when you're an actor and you're in a major A storyline for a year, it seems to be almost, you know, exhausting to the point of needing to take the next year off. Because the hours are longer. You're filming for 6 episodes sometimes. You're in every episode.
Yeah,
Will
it's a
massive
drain.
Mean that we don't have to have extended breaks for some people, because they literally have every bit wrung from them. You know, it is exhausting. It's emotional work a lot of the time.
Yeah, it does make me wonder, you know, one of the ways, the way that Corrie works, as far as I understand, with contracts at the moment, is that cast members are guaranteed a certain number of episodes a year, and I think that's probably different for different cast members. Is that going to go down? Because there's going to be fewer overall episodes in the year, and does that mean wages for them go down, or, you know, do they still get paid the same? But
I think it would make any difference really
to us, but it sucks. It really, really sucks for the people at Coronation Street if they are having to suffer financially because of this.
I think suffering is a emotive word for people that are probably on quite a lot of money. I get what you're saying, but I also think that if you're gonna, they're all very, you know, most of them are very emotionally intelligent, and they really value the work that the production staff do. And if you're going to come to them and say, we're going to have to cut your wages by 16% because we're also making people redundant, can you see how, like, being, you know, I still want to get paid the same amount even though I'm doing less work, doesn't really cut it when people are losing their jobs.
No, it doesn't. But there is the worry that some cast members might say, I'm not taking the pay cut, I'm going to leave. I'm
going to say that Coronation Street is still a really good job for an actor, because it's steady work, which is unusual. And you're guaranteed, at the moment, you're guaranteed to be in it unless you decide to leave. There's only a couple of people that have been fired, in inverted commas, or axed, whatever you want to call it. It seems like it's a job for as long as you kind of want it. And so I think that a lot of people would rather stay in that role. And a lot of the time when people leave, it's because of ambition or because they want to do something different creatively. Nobody's leaving Corrie to get better money elsewhere. That would be insane. Unless you're going to work in Hollywood on a Marvel film, you're not going to be getting more money anywhere else.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be interested to see, are we going to have more appearances from some particular characters because of these changes, or the cast is still so big, isn't it? And is it going to feel more squeezed?
Is the cast too big for 5 episodes?
But, you know, the thing is, how long has it been 6 episodes? It was when Kate Oates was in charge, wasn't it? So it was maybe, gosh, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago that change was made. It's not like we're going back to the 90s when it was only 3 half-an-hours a week. When we started the podcast, there was this amount of Coronation Street each week. It was just not spread out over 5 days.
Yeah,
so,
just to remind everybody, it was an hour on Monday, it was a half hour on Wednesday, and then it was an hour on Friday.
Yeah, that was the last
standard.
The last standard that was changed until we got to this current position that we're in now. This is
the thing. There have been so many permutations of how long is an episode and when is it on. I think this is the first time Corrie's been on every day.
Yes.
This is, I think...
Apart from, Britain's Got Talent weeks or what have you.
And it's interesting to think about Coronation... ITV are obviously saying to us, we think that the viewers would rather have a daily commitment of a half hour than an hour-long commitment over 3 days.
Yeah, because they could have just gone back to what they did before, couldn't they? They could have kept hour on Monday, hour on Friday, half an hour on Wednesday.
That half hour on Wednesday always felt like a waste of time to me because of the comparison between the hour and the half hour. Nothing. Also, rarely do things happen on a Wednesday because of the the natural
the ebb and flow of the week
rhythm of storytelling is that you have there's nothing really in the middle to excite you. So, but now we're going to the 5 half hours. Loads of people are saying they prefer half hours. I don't agree. I prefer the hour long.
So do I. And I think we are kind of
unusual
in that.
I like to get stuck into it.
Absolutely. I like the hour. I feel that it gives it enough time to breathe. When it's been quite rare that there have been half an hour episodes in recent times, but I'm thinking like there was a Christmas episode.
The Christmas one was good.
The Britain's Got Talent episodes were always half an hour.
They're
if you think
pacey, very pacey.
But also with the Britain's Got Talent one, often it is just one story that fits out over that half an hour, isn't it? So it does feel like you can get more in. I think that in recent times when it's been half an hour, to me, it's almost felt like it's over before it's began. And maybe that's just because I'm used to the hour format. I think that Coronation Street writers are going to have to kind of retrain their brains a little bit to
Coronation Street writers?
Yeah, to cram it in to half an hour without it feeling like, just as it's starting to pick up the pace, it's over. Because let's not forget, we say half an hour, but it's not half an hour. It's 22, 23 minutes or so with the advert break. And that's different to the half an hours back in the day, because when in the 80s, 70s, what have you, and it was a half an hour episode, that was probably 27 minutes or so, because the adverts weren't on as long. So it really is a short amount of time.
And also EastEnders is properly...
Yeah, EastEnders is half an hour, so these are now long. These are considerably shorter than an EastEnders episode.
The other thing also is to consider the way that episodes are produced currently. They're still a half-hour block is still its own production code, and each half generally will have a different writer, but the director stays the same.
Yeah.
So I think the writers, you pointed this out, are going to have to rewire how they write an episode. They're not writing half of an episode anymore. They're not giving it, to somebody else or taking someone else's, and finishing it off. I don't think it's obvious when you watch it. I really don't think most people would say, oh, there's a different writer in this half. I think they're really good.
They're very, very good at
blending those.
That. Yeah.
But maybe this will give people more of an opportunity to have an individual voice in when they write.
Maybe because they don't have to mesh it. I mean, there's obviously a Corrie house style in many things, but yeah, you're right. That could happen
because we definitely get that with directors. You got different directors like Matt Hilton, who's doing this week. He's got a very distinctive style when he directs, but you know, there's a few writers that you can say have a distinctive style on Coronation Street.
Oh, that's Jonathan Harvey.
Jonathan Harvey also is returning to Coronation Street,
yeah.
so he's gonna. I wonder what he thinks of having half-hour.
I'd be fascinated to know what the.
I really want to know what they all think about this. I think it's again. Is
it going to mean, you know, they'll be commissioned for fewer episodes in a year, which means that the writers are going to suffer.
They're going to get paid.
That word,
I think they get paid per script.
I think that they do as well. I think that's how it works. Don't quote us on that, but I believe that that's how it happens. But I'm very interested to know. Is there going to be fewer kind of set up scenes? But I mean, it's not like we've got many scenes at the moment of the characters chatting over breakfast, is it?
No, I know, but every episode does have to start with them going, "Oh, you know, there was a fire."
Yeah, you're right, actually.
And we're going to waste a lot of time.
Maybe if
recapping.
This is every day, we won't need that kind of fake recap at the beginning of the episode where the character says, "Remember the other day when such and such," because it literally would have happened the day before.
Yeah, but maybe...
So they'll be able to get straight into the episode.
Maybe they'll be like, "Previously on Coronation Street."
Oh my gosh, no, don't even go there. Don't even go there.
Here's an interesting point. Will there be a more obvious time passing? Will we get a sense of time that we've been missing?
I was going to say that. I really hope so. That's been one of my biggest bugbears of Coronation Street over the past few years, that it doesn't, it doesn't feel like a real week. It's literally a 3-day week. Every day,
and there's no weekend.
It follows subsequently from the next one. Everything is tomorrow,
and then
there's
tomorrow.
A new week.
It does kind of break the.
Yeah, the illusion of,
when they say tomorrow, and they mean that,
on
2
Friday
days'
when
time.
They say tomorrow, they mean Monday. So I wonder whether
will that be better?
I think this will be better. I like the idea that the life of the Weatherfield residents runs parallel to ours, and I do not get that sense at the moment. But if Monday for us is Monday for them, then that next day is Tuesday, then the next day is Wednesday. Brilliant. And I would say what it would be brilliant to do as well is on Friday, don't make out that Monday is the next day. Say it's a weekend. Just say nothing happens at the weekend. All the drama stops at the weekend. I think that would go a long way into making it feel more realistic.
They very rarely do this, but set an episode at the weekend, but show it on a Friday. They've done, They've done that a few times where you start in the evening and then you have the next day.
Yeah. We were saying that we preferred the half-hour format, the hour format, but if lots of people prefer the half-hour format, fair play to them. I think that, an hour is a bit of a commitment for some people. Is this going to be enough to stop some viewers dropping off? Because, the viewing figures are declining. If some of them are to do with, I don't want to commit to an hour 3 days a week for something that I'm not... It
does seem like a lot. It does. But then every day seems like a lot.
Well, this is it, isn't it? I said earlier that I don't mind the idea of there being a Corrie as a little treat every evening, and I'm a man of routine. That sounds all good to me. I know that you've been less positive about that. I just don't like the inevitability of it. I think I'm strange because I do like routine, but I also I feel trapped by. I think for us, and we haven't, we've not talked yet particularly about how it could affect the podcast. We obviously we love Coronation Street, but it still feels like it's work.
We do this now it's partly a job, even though we don't get paid, but it's still work, and so having it every day of the week is a bit daunting to me.
There's the expectation that we upload a short at the end of every episode, for example, as much as we can. Is that going to mean we're going to do 5 shorts now? I don't know how that would work, but it is nice to have a couple of days where we don't have Coronation Street stuff we feel we have to do.
I mean, genuinely, let's be honest. I do think that a lot of the time we only end up with one Corrie free day a week anyway.
Yeah, because of recording bonus episodes. Yeah. Yeah, but when we sit down to watch Coronation Street, at least it will be, we will have half an hour and then the rest of the evening is ours. But this isn't particularly.
It's not really
us.
important. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
No.
We're just letting you behind the scenes of how we make the show and what our considerations are. It'd be really nice if Corrie could send us the episodes.
That would be nice.
That would be very helpful. I mean, there's also always the possibility that they do what you said and upload the weeks on a Monday.
At the moment,
that would be a bad move.
At the moment, they're saying that it's still going to be 7 a.m. in the morning. And if you remember my massive rant from when that was announced, and I was very selfishly unhappy with the fact that many people will be watching the episodes before me, and it still irks me a little bit, but I've got used to it, and I'm not in love with the idea, and I do like the idea that everybody can watch it together. But hey ho, whatever. But yeah, if maybe they do. What is the difference? Apart from the even greater possibility that there will be spoilers for people who want to wait throughout the week.
Yeah.
If it gets uploaded earlier on the Monday.
See,
because we have seen some spoilers already from the early uploads, haven't we?
Oh yeah, of course.
Before we get to watch it in the evening.
Thinking about it when you say it's 16-17% less. That doesn't seem like a lot, right? But then when you think about the fact that it's now split into 5 episodes instead of 3, it really makes me wonder, how are they going to deal with the fact that normally in a week there are 5 big stories? Because you won't have time in one 23-minute episode to hit all those stories, because some of the the very short ones are only in a couple of episodes anyway. So how is this gonna work out with storylines? Are we gonna have fewer storylines in 1 week?
It'd be interesting to compare to how it was before.
I'd love to
when
see
there were 5 episodes, because I remember when it went up to 6, we thought, maybe they'll be able to use that half an hour to show more of
slice
like
of life.
slice of life, side story. What's Kirk getting up to? Or just have a completely standalone, not really related to everything else. And that didn't happen. It just kind of all amalgamated together, didn't it? But I can't see how the current number of stories could be adequately given enough time to breathe in half an hour episodes, especially if they're you'd have an episode where a couple of most stories would only have 2-3 scenes max. Are we going to have shorter scenes? I mean, I suppose that ties in with the whole pacey no attention spans of the younger viewers, but I don't want that.
Look, I don't want anyone who's listening who's younger to make me I'm not trying to write you guys off. I'm just saying, I think that TV executives are definitely putting that into their considerations when they're doing things, whether they're right or not. I do think that there's a certain amount of people that are just lost for watching telly in general to YouTube and TikTok and things. So if you are watching Coronation Street, chances are you've got a pretty good attention span anyway, because you're watching a show that never ends.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I just wonder whether do they want to be capturing the youth in that way? So many, when I grew up with watching Coronation Street when I was young, it was because my family watched it. And it's not because I chose, because I'm a kid and I was like, oh, this looks like a kid-friendly show. It was watching it with the grown-ups, and I know maybe that's not how families watch TV, and isn't that sad that you don't get the family around the box together anymore? But I do think that rather than courting directly the youth quite so much as they have been, it might be better to make really great programs about the older characters that the parents can identify with, and if it's good TV, the kids will come.
I don't know whether that's true. I just don't know whether families watch TV as much. I think everyone's got a screen, and I think if the kids are in the room, they don't have to watch the same show. That's so different from.
I know. I still can't.
Even 5 years ago, I think it's changed.
Yeah.
So. The focusing on a younger demographic is to compete with streaming. It's all for that purpose. They've also done a lot of really good work in building up their younger cast, I think.
Do you think
and giving them stories?
Do you think that with half an hour episodes, people aren't going to feel so bad if they miss one? Because I wonder at the moment, if you miss a couple of hour-long episodes or a couple of weeks of hour-long episodes or a few within a 2 or 3 week span, you might think, I can't keep up anymore now. I missed too much. But if you miss the odd day here and there with half an hour...
You might feel like, I can just pick it up again.
Yeah, easier to pick up again. It's only been a little bit. I suppose that could be a positive, maybe.
Yeah.
All of these discussions will have been happening behind closed doors at ITV. God, to have been a fly on the wall there, eh? What else? What else haven't we kind of covered?
Did we say it's starting next year?
We did. We said it's starting next year, January next year. This is supposed to be going. So same schedules all the way through this year. So no huge changes yet. Still not, got to think about how it affects the podcast or anything yet, because it will do in some way, I suppose. The only other thing that we've been told about this, which we haven't covered at all yet, is the fact that both soaps will apparently start with a big stunt to kick off the week.
To kick off the double streaming, the golden hour of soaps.
Yeah.
So it looks
there's going to be a big fanfare. Hey, big new power hour of Soap League, and here's a big stump for you all.
Now, it's interesting that the wording that we've seen is like a stunt. And my theory is that I think they're going to do something across both soaps.
Oh, yes, you told me this idea earlier. So I hadn't considered this at all. But go on.
Right, number one, it saves money, which we know they love.
You're talking about a crossover here.
A crossover soap to because I think part of having this power hour is to encourage people to watch both soaps. It makes sense. ITV have got two soaps. Why make them compete when they could be together?
It's holding hands across the Pennines.
Yeah, we know that they're both based in the north. They're not that close, but it's all the north. They also have done crossovers before. They did that. Was it recycling?
Oh yeah. The green
the green campaign
initiative
that
a couple of years ago.
All the soaps.
Yeah.
They've shied completely away from doing. Like, we know that Emmerdale and Coronation Street exist in the same world, but there's never been really any appetite whatsoever to cross them over. But they did
have a comic relief once, didn't they?
Well, they've done a lot of things.
Or whatever.
But the fact that they are launching it with this power hour, stunt makes me think that they are going to do... I don't think it's going to be like, the Emmerdale characters are in Coronation Street and, I think there will still be two separate episodes, two separate shows for that week, but I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of weird event, because it's never been seen before, right? So that makes me think there's nothing that hasn't been seen on a soap. There's been plane crashes, there've been car crashes, there've been a car crash on a motorway, there've been drownings, there've been explosions, there's been floods.
It is a very bold move to suggest it's never been seen before. Although I was reading articles and they didn't use that phrasing. I don't know whether it was
Duncan Lindsay reporting
from the Metro
that specifically. I don't know if I've got the
stunts. There's we're getting to a stage, if we haven't got there already, that there's very little stunt wise that a soap can do to surprise us, because that's the thing, they've always been trying to push the boundaries. These shows have been going 65 odd years in Coronation Street's case, and there's nothing's original anymore almost. Even this week we've had a fire. We've had plenty of fires on Coronation Street before. We had an all-in-one take tracking shot for a fire. I suppose that was what made it different slightly, but you're right, there's not been any... I just can't think of what a never before seen stunt could be, but I do like the idea.
Here's what Duncan Lindsay says. The start of the 2026 schedule will be marked in spectacular style as both soaps embark on an ambitious, never before seen stunt as part of a week of special episodes.
See, his wording says they both embark on a stunt, and that does potentially lend credence to the idea of both of them are sharing the same stunt.
So I'm thinking that the Corrie characters go on a trip up to Emmerdale Land, because I think
over to Yorkshire.
Number one, I think Corrie's set is too small to do anything. It's also overlooked. We all knew about the Platt fire for months because everyone could see from the flats that there was a fire. So there's more privacy there. They do something in a field, and that way the characters can experience the same thing without being in the geographical area, because the only way to have a stunt that affects two groups of people if they live in completely different cities is if it's some kind of nuclear explosion. I can't imagine. Corrie does threads. I don't think that's going to happen. So in my head, I'm thinking caravan camping, some kind of thing, or Carla Connor's latest team building exercise. Everyone goes to a field and there's a plane crash again, or a bus crash, or something happens, and they don't necessarily experience those events with the group of characters from Emmerdale, but it's possible that one of the characters might crop up in the other show.
I'd never could. Yeah, absolutely. I can't say that. Yeah, that clearly is going to happen now. That all makes sense, but I'm certainly not adverse to that idea.
I think it
is a very remarkable way to launch it, and I'm sure that it's
just a guess.
It would encourage people to watch both. Or if the idea behind the stunt was gripping enough, and I enjoyed seeing the Corrie characters experiencing whatever it is, I'd be definitely interested in carrying on watching and seeing how it affected Paddy and Marlon.
If you think about it, I mean, like, this maybe might rile some people up, but Emmerdale's the weaker of the two as far as viewers go.
Yes.
As far as kudos goes.
It's not a huge difference, history, but yeah, for sure.
It's not got the same cachet as Corrie does.
No.
And I'm not trying to be, I love the fact that there are two soaps on ITV. I think we don't have time to watch Emmerdale, but it's not like I see them as a competition at all. I think that they're brothers in arms.
Yeah.
But I don't watch Emmerdale, but because it's on before Corrie, if they had a stunt and it started in Emmerdale, we'd have to watch it, wouldn't we?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
And that would get some Corrie viewers to go, oh, maybe I do like this Marlon fellow, looks quite fun. These Dingles, what's their story? This Kim Tate, she seems like a bitch.
Yeah.
I hope she doesn't die by the end of the week.
Yes, doesn't she look a lot like Erica Holroyd, though?
She does, yeah, that's weird.
Nick, what do you think of that?
Jenny reminds me of someone who was in Emmerdale. Anyway,
I mean, that's, maybe. Who knows?
There's nothing. There's been
Does Duncan
absolutely
Lindsay know?
There's been absolutely no indication whatsoever of any of that happening. It just seems to make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little.
It's fun to speculate.
We do like stunts. I love a good stunt on Coronation Street. What I don't like is a money-saving stunt. I don't like it when you can kind of see the joins and it feels a little bit cheap. So I hope that they do go all out here, because if it starts off with a stunt that's a bit of a flub, then that's a real false start. Yeah, they have got to stick this landing 100%.
No pressure.
No pressure.
And also the fact that you've lost jobs to make this happen is going to sting. And a lot of people, I mean, everybody on these soaps is going to know somebody who's lost their job.
Yeah,
it's going to be bad for morale, I think. I hope that they can turn this. I'm really, really positive. I think this is positive. My personal thoughts about how I feel about watching it in this format completely aside, I think this is really great news. I think it shows ITV is serious about keeping the soaps, about maximising their potential.
People have been saying drastic measures are needed.
It's realistic.
This is a drastic measure.
It's realistic, and it really does feel like there was a marked turn in perception of the show and what they could do. And I just
when they went to 6.
When they went to 6, I just feel like it was a mistake.
People have been saying that it was a mistake. People have been saying they should go back to 5. I don't think anyone really expected it to happen.
No, I literally said the only thing they will never do is drop to 5. Yeah. I always said that.
Does it feel like, admitting a weakness? Does it feel like saying, you know what, we're struggling at the moment? Obviously, the press release isn't going to say that.
No, I don't. I think that understanding your weaknesses is a strength.
And it's not just your own weaknesses. It is the world that we live in the market, exactly. And if they want to keep Corrie and Emmerdale afloat, and you're right, this is showing that they do, then maybe this is a good way to go. Obviously, the other comparison is Hollyoaks, who also had its episode numbers slashed just in the past year. And I think it was, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's definitely cut down an awful lot more compared to how this is being cut.
Yes,
in
and a
number of cast as well.
Said, oh, that's the end for Hollyoaks. Nobody is saying that really for Corrie. Also, Neighbours was cancelled and it came back, I think, with fewer episodes.
Possibly, I don't know.
I think it's come back with one less, and I think that people seem to think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I just think that the fact that everyone's happy about this shows it was the right move.
I'm glad, because like I said, I have not had the opportunity yet today to get online and see people's responses.
The usual people will say that the same old crap about, oh, it's the end of it, it's that soap shouldn't be on, I hate soaps. I'm not interested in
I wouldn't be
people.
surprised if some people are saying, well, this is Corrie admitting that there's a problem. But, if they're doing something about it, then great. I'm kind of...
It's the audiences that are wrong.
I'm totally mixed feelings about this.
Really? I'm very optimistic.
I really feel hopeful, but, the issues that we discussed earlier about... it doesn't bother me if they're reducing the number of stories, particularly, a number of A stories. But I'm curious to see what it means for the amount of screen time that certain characters will get. I'm really, really hopeful that they will be able to manage this 23 minutes without it feeling like it's over before it's began. I think that's my biggest worry at the moment.
Got to leave them wanting more, Michael.
You got to leave them wanting more. But yeah, I want to feel that I've got something out of an episode at the end of it, and they used to be able to do it with only 5 minutes more extra. It never felt, watching the old half an hour episodes in the 90s, that I was being shortchanged. So I would hope that we'll be able to get back to that. If it means we don't know what the budgets are looking like, if it means that you get a bit more money per episode and that shows up on screen, brilliant. Who knows if that's the case?
It really does. I think they've done a really good job of cutting costs where they can, but it's starting to.
Yeah, this is hopefully a positive opportunity. I like the idea that every day is going to follow on after the next, so the world of Weatherfield isn't going to feel so artificial. And well, yeah, good luck to everyone involved. I just want it to do well. I'm so rooting for this to work.
I'm really surprised at how pessimistic you're being.
I don't mean to be pessimistic. I just know from watching recent half an hour episodes that I've often felt a bit shortchanged.
I just think that it feels like finally, I think they're being realistic about what they can actually do. 6 episodes, like I said many times before, it wasn't a case of just adding 16% more work. It seemed to be exponentially more work
totally
to be able to cope with this demand of the extra episode. I think they already pushed themselves to the limit, and I think this gives them more breathing room, hopefully more chances to have a bit of downtime. Maybe they can build in a holiday at the summer. I don't know how they do it. I literally do not know how somebody does the job of storylining, producing, and all of this really hard brain work on like the production side and planning it and stuff, and like writing,
making a couple of movies worth of entertainment every week, basically,
every single week, churning it out without any break. So no break ever, never. They shut down for 2 weeks at Christmas. That's not enough time to get your head around how you're doing. People need a life outside the show, and maybe the job of producer will be a slightly more tempting prize when Kate Brooks decides to leave, because it certainly wasn't.
Yeah, from what we can tell, it wasn't that last year, were they?
Before, were they? No. So I think this has clearly come from ITV. I just wonder, people like to criticise Ian McLeod, but wonder how much pressure he was able to exert on ITV in his new role of like not having to do the Wallace and Gromit train tracks in front of the train. Like take a moment to step back and go, we need to do something to shake this up, because I can tell you from my own experience, it's not sustainable. I don't know, I'm just making it up, but I'm just really glad that they are listening to what we are saying too. And I think it is sad to sort of say, oh, I'd rather there were less episodes. But I think we're all sensible, we're all mature, we all know that too much of a good thing is not a good thing. You couldn't watch it if it was Big Brother and they streamed it live. Nobody would watch it, would they? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's only a certain number of people that are that interested. It can't be on every day for 4 hours a day. You have to have a limit to it, and I think that 5.5 hours is perfect. That's loads more than they started with. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. So we've said all the potential good things. We've said a few concerns, which I hope that Corrie can hear, and I'm sure they're thinking about it already. I'm just putting it out.
Can you imagine if they ever listened to an episode and they were like, "Oh no!
Oh my gosh, yes, I forgot about that. The money. How are we going to manage that?
We forgot the money."
And the thing is, there's a long time to go until we actually get to see the fruits of this very, very bold move. So they got the whole of this year now to start thinking about it, putting the plans in action. Thinking of how that's going to look, and I guess they'll communicate that to us, the viewers, as and when they see fit. So I think that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm glad we've got this out of our systems. Now I get to spend the evening having a look and seeing what other people think. And seeing whether you're right and the people are more positive.
Well, look, the people that I've asked and the people that are Corrie fans are positive. I think there's lots of sneery people that are like, "Oh, I'm good, I hate Corrie. I think they should act all the episodes," whatever.
I think as well, and this is something we
boring.
maybe haven't touched on yet, and maybe we're getting to the stage where this goes to another time. But this doesn't necessarily mean that Coronation Street is going to get rid of all of the crime, all of the gangs, of the hospital scenes, all of the high drama. I mean, yes, wouldn't it be lovely to have a world where Corrie felt kind of cozy and community led and natural cozy comedy and Mavis and Derek and all that of the 90s, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go back there. But if this is a turning point for Coronation Street, and if it does get the higher ups to kind of reevaluate certain directions that the show has been going in, listen to that feedback from viewers and the really, really passionate fans, then great.
Cozy is definitely a word that has become much more important for people in recent, in the recent year or so. Cozy games, cozy everything. Everyone wants things to be cozy. No, that's in the past. I think that, maybe Coronation Street is like, right, we're going to do 5 episodes a week. So Monday's hospitals, Tuesday's crime, Wednesday's hospitals again, Thursday's crime, and then Friday's crime at the hospital. So we have a balance.
It can't be sustainable to have this much of that. But yeah, it's not going to go back to how it was.
What does that mean?
As in, we're not going to be seeing 1990s, 1980s style.
Oh, it's not going to go back to. What happened to the teapot?
No, they're still going to be going after the awards. They're still going to be going after.
They're still competing with each other.
Yeah, they're still going to be going after the magazine covers. They're still going to be going after their issues. That's not going to stop because of this.
Because you can't. The world doesn't exist anymore for that to happen. You've got now. I think partly it's the soap magazines pressure where Corrie's they must sort of go, well, give Corrie, make sure we give Corrie a certain number of covers, but what could it be like? The mystery of the missing jammy Dodgers. This week we're going to have a story. Like, it can't be that. It just can't be anymore.
But maybe a little bit.
Maybe a bit more than
one last request, and I've put this request out to Coronation Street many, many times over the past 15 years. Can this new relaunch have a new theme?
Yes, new theme, and can release the bloody cast picture.
Where's the cast picture? Opening titles. I've never liked the current opening titles. Let's get a new set to just go to coincide with this brand new kind of. It's not a soft reboot, but a new launch of Coronation Street. God, give us some new titles, please.
When was the last time Emmerdale had new titles? Maybe they'll do both.
I think Emmerdale has been more recent, but both have had them a very long time.
It might be a bit too scary though.
Let's get away from the browns. Let's go back to the blues and the greens and the reds of the houses. I don't need anything fancy.
Re-record the theme tune so it starts like.
No.
That's the theme tune to the bill.
Go back to the old recording of the theme tune. I don't particularly see much of a difference.
Add lyrics
in the new and old versions that they changed back 15 odd years ago. But anyway, that's what I want. That's my final request, please, and more cats. Yeah, go over there.
Right, we're done.
Thank you everybody for listening. I hope this has kind of given you something to think about, anything that you maybe hadn't considered before. We would love to know what you think, so do send us in your emails, write it in the comments if you're listening to this on YouTube. Tell us what you think, but I guess we're just not going to know until January. We're not going to know until it's happened, so don't write it off
Just
until we've seen it. Or equally, don't say, "Oh, hey, Coronation Street saved." Well,
that's what I'm saying.
That's what Gemma's
Why not
saying.
just be positive?
It's better to be. I say better to be positive. Absolutely, but you are still very welcome to have concerns that you hope are allayed in the next 10 months.
It is just sad that people have to lose their jobs. That's terrible.
That's
like the worst part of this whole thing. They can't celebrate really too hard because
no, and I can only hope that they, do they get redeployed in ITV or helped to continue their careers in some way,
or maybe at some point pick up a few because we're doing so well, we can
but
I
let's
don't know.
not go back to 6. Let's keep it.
I think we need to have learned one thing, and that is that 6 episodes of any TV show in a week. 6 episodes.
6 is too many,
It's not the
Henry
news,
VIII.
is it? It's not the news. We don't need to know everything.
Come on, we've been outroing this for far too long now. Thank you everybody listening. Goodbye, and we'll see you soon for another episode of Conversation Street. Ta-ra.